For this next crucial step, you will need to buy a digital servo tester. First, make sure everything is properly soldered into your power distribution board. Then, you will need to plug the battery to your power distribution board. Then pick up your tester, and you will have to connect the wires from the ESC into the out terminals. Make sure to follow the proper coloring. Top wire is going to be white, then red, and finally black at the bottom. Turn on the knob and the motor should spin. If it doesn't, you need to check for the solder or the motor or the ESC. There we have it, motor is functioning properly, beautifully spinning and counterclockwise, which is how the red motor should spin. Do the same thing for the other 3 motors and then you're good to go for the next step. Finally, the brain of our drone. The Raspberry Pi 4 with a minimum of 8 GB of memory. We need to 3D print some support along the way, nothing too fancy, to properly place the Raspberry Pi on top of our main board. Use some screws, some nylon standoffs if you so desire. Make sure everything is properly placed, fixed. Place another layer of nylon standoffs and then put your Raspberry Pi on top of it. Make sure everything is properly fixed. Then 3D print this part and make sure the pins are free to be connected. Another type of nylon standoffs. And there you have it, a Raspberry Pi beautifully installed. Finally, a flight controller, the Pixhawk 2.4.8. A beautiful piece of hardware, cheap and highly performing. You need to have at least the version 2.4.8. Remember, the arrow points to the front of the drone, and the arrow will have to be placed on the same direction as the USB ports of the Raspberry Pi. Make sure to build the anti-jumping support. It is kind of hard to mount it, but it is absolutely essential. If you do not install it, the vibrations from the drone will propagate to the Pixhawks and will make your drone highly unstable. There are different ways of doing so, but I'd recommend to use the support that comes with the Pixhawk. It is easy, light, a bit delicate, but it does the job. Nothing too fancy, put some tape on top of it and then attach your Pixhawk on top of the top support. Once you're satisfied with the position, apply some pressure to correctly glue the Pixhawk to the tape. And then we'll use some zip ties to make sure the Pixhawk is really well attached to the support. There you have it. Apply some good pressure. Make sure the tape is really well glued to the Pixhawk. There you have it, beautiful. Use some zip ties if you so desire to make sure the Pixhawk will not detach from the support. Also, be careful and do not block or position the zip ties on top of any terminal, either on top of the Pixhawk or on the sides. Cut the tip of the zip ties. Make sure the zip ties are properly placed and all the terminals are free. There we have it, Raspberry Pi, then the 3D printed support, then another square 3D printed support that will be needed to be placed at the bottom of the anti-damping Pixhawk support. All the files should be available in the description. Secure the bottom support with zip ties to the Pixhawk. Apply good pressure to make sure it cannot detach. This is not mandatory but recommended. The support will also be attached with some screws. Cut the tip of the zip ties. Make sure everything is perfectly placed. Use some screws and let's screw this Pixhawk to the drone. Very easy, very straightforward. Only a couple of 3D printed files. Very inexpensive. There you have it. The arrow of the Pixhawk should be on top of the USB port of the Raspberry Pi, as it will be easier to connect all the wires from the Raspberry Pi to the Pixhawk and all the devices. Now we need to properly energize the Pixhawk and the power distribution board. For this we have the power module that comes with the kit of the Pixhawk. You can also purchase it separately. The version should be the same as displayed here. In general, all the brands and models are relatively compatible. We will power the Pixhawk, plug in the end terminals of the power module into the power terminal of the Pixhawk. Then the other terminal will have to be connected to the battery. and the other terminal to the power distribution board. Make sure the Pixhawk lights up, and there we have it.